I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, gentlemen, I look for a motion to approve today's agenda. So moved. Second. Any discussion? The only thing I have is for item number 11, Adam Parsons would like to be here for some legal advice, so we may need to move it down. He said he might not be here till a little after 9, so see how it goes. I'll talk real slow if I can get it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item number 3 is the minutes for June 3rd. I look for a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meetings attended, Scott?
I didn't have anything this week, although I got a hold of Farm Service and they were supposed to have me a bid for that LP tank this morning, but I still haven't received it. So possibly next week I might have it for discussion.
If not, I have another avenue that I can make a phone call, but we'll play this one out and see where we're at.
Okay. And that was it.
Okay.
I had no meetings last week.
I met with the solar people. We got the paperwork to flip the switch out here and make it work. I don't know if they've done that yet or not. Have they contacted you? Okay.
No,
Perhaps this week. The only thing that's left, I believe, is on 3rd floor. There's still a panel that needs to be replaced.
yes,
And they would do that sometime. They didn't say when. I would assume it'd be on the weekend like everything else. Besides that, I think we're about there, solar wise for the county. I haven't been downstairs to look at the panel yet in the basement. I was gonna do that here this week and see how that worked out. We do still have a foundation leaky. I don't know if you guys have been down in the basement to see any of that.
I haven't been checked out.
When we get done, maybe we can go walk over and I can show you that. It's isn't new. It's been going on for years. And these 2 huge electrical panels. And the water's running down that foundation and getting in, and it's running down these panels. Well, one of them's been replaced because of the solar, but the 2 other ones still are getting moisture when it rains. So we need to figure out a way to tile it or cap it or cover it or right above that whole chute that they've got blocked off so that nobody drives over it. So maybe after the meeting, we can walk over there real quick and you can just see what we're dealing with. I think the can's been kicked down the road far enough. We need to do something. I don't know what that something is, so. Now that we have that done, I'm gonna contact the person on the old jail here and talk about the electrical gas service now that we've got this separated, get that on the bid and see if we can get move that along and get rid of it. A couple other minor meetings, but nothing. I'm gonna pay for it this week. I got 6 or 7 to do this week, so. Public input? Anybody from the public would like to speak?
I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but the governor talked last week on combining counties. Did everybody see that? Good. I mean, that's something that maybe should concern you guys, so.
We'll see what the county or the state.
Yep.
I don't know if that'll go any further or if it'll stop. But we'll see. You know why there's 99 counties, right? Why the counties are the size they are?
So everybody could get to the county seat and home the same day.
On a horse.
on a horse.
On a horse, yeah.
That's right. We don't have a lot of horses anymore.
Well, they're moving in, but the Amish are moving.
Yeah, you're right, they are. They still need to get to the courthouse. You're right.
Coming in, so.
Okay.
I've got, something,
yeah,
I'm not on the agenda.
All right.
As of yesterday, the office complex hired a seasonal mower,
Great.
our very own Brian T.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Let's
so we
let
met-
yours begin.
we met yesterday just to brief him on what I've been doing for a while, and yeah, should be looking good from then on. We've got all the, we did do stream trimmer and blower through Milwaukee. I talked to a couple other people and they're like, yeah, go for it. So it's a little more pricey upfront, but in maintenance, it's probably gonna work itself out. So
Fuel and oil, all that.
6 to 1, half dozen the other. So we just went with that. The mower's doing great. It's still just putting along.
Good.
I was able to do the ditches, which is really good. Before conservation was gonna have to come in and do some of those slide slopes, but it handles it all right, so.
I saw our ad for the temporary, not temporary, person that we need to fill Sarah's spot.
Yeah, yep,
Saw the ad. When is that up?
June 20th.
So we can,
If anyone wants a naturalist technician job, I guess I'll put a plug in.
and I had one question on our last meeting.
Was it about firewood?
Oh, that's 2 questions. Yes,
Okay,
firewood.
yeah.
Would you like to expand on the firewood?
Yep, I did email Scott afterwards and just, we do sell firewood at our campgrounds.
So we've heard, we don't cut our own and we
No,
buy it.
no,
and
it'd be-
Sell it,
It would be not a waste of time,
Right.
but we can,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was the only one. Firewood, I got it wrote down here to ask you. Okay,
that's it. Everything else in the complex is running good.
how, do we have a date on redoing the maintenance shed yet?
No, but I'm gonna meet with Brett, either tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
Whatever days it's like, Wednesday or Thursday.
All right, great. Okay, anybody else for public input? No? Thanks, Jacob. Have a good day. I don't think we got any payroll changes. I didn't see any either. Did you guys have a chance to review the ambulance reports?
I did.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? No? Okay. Don't need approval, just review, sign those.
You signed them,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. And number 8 is Kathy.
Good morning, I'm Captain Jolly Vance from Morning Sun, and I happen to be the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. As you know, we've been slowly going through the process of working on intensive surveys of downtown Columbus Junction and Wapello with an eye on having a historic district in both or either of those communities, allowing the buildings and the community to apply for grants to preserve the buildings in their historical perspective. So toward that end, you know, I mean, it's a long process, right? So we apply for a grant, then we got the grant, then you do an RFP for consultants, and then the local commission meets and looks through the bids for the consultants, and then we bring them to you because you're our officials. That's where we are. And did you get you got just some sort of little proposal from, but I have the contracts here and I need approval on the contract, and it's not any money from you. Well, technically, the Historic Preservation Commission has $2,000 of county money, so it includes that, but we have money from each of the communities and some other matching funds, and this is, do you want a copy of this too? I'll get you one. So this is just the final contract that outlines what we already asked for. EcoScene, this is a company out of Des Moines, what we asked them to do, which was pretty intensive surveys of the larger downtown areas of both communities, and then what they offered to do and the timeline that they offered to do it on and the budget and all of that. So I need approval of the contract. Actually, first I would entertain questions. Sean's seen this because we talked about it at our Historic Preservation Commission meeting, and he looked at both proposals that we received, and we chose this one. I like the proposal better because it was more in person, partly because the second one was a company out of Southern California, which was a great company too, but I prefer to spend money locally and then in Iowa. And the rest of the commission is on board with that. And the more in-person time, the better. Some of this is online too, of course.
It just seemed like the company, and I brought them up to speed at the last meeting
Yeah.
afterwards and told them about that, but seemed like that company that was in West Des Moines, that there was an issue that they could get in the car and come down here, and that most likely wouldn't happen with the company in California.
Right.
It would all be over the computer, online, viewing.
Doing photos and GIS mapping
Yeah.
instead of coming in person. And this historical architect is gonna come, and we have some people to meet with them in both communities. So, as well as commission members. So it's a vote to approve the contract.
You have a timeline after this is done for
Yeah.
this portion?
Oh.
As a-
Okay, well, this is supposed to be finished by December 31st of 2025. And they anticipated being finished before the holidays, but the contract said December 31st, 2025. And then you go through the process of applying for the National Register, which is yet another consultant, except that you can do it yourself. I just went to the Historic Preservation Summit, which was in Muscatine this year. And I asked our state coordinator, how many times does a local person, a non-consultant, get an application through to the National Register? They said 1% of the time.
Wow.
And I just wondered if I could manage to be in the 1%. It would be interesting to know. Maybe I'll try it.
1%.
Whatever. So that would take, let's see, they would do an application and in June we'd be reviewed, and then the following November, it'd take another year to get on the National Register if we decided to do that. Some of this will tell us whether or not there are enough buildings that are still in the shape, and I don't mean structural shape, I mean historical. Would they be recognized as the historical buildings of the past? That's kind of a thumbnail sketch of what they're looking for. Are there enough of them to make a district?
Did we not get the Fairview Church through this whole process?
Yes, and Mellinger Memorial Library. Those have both been done in the last few years. We have other places on the register in the county. The courthouse.
July 5th.
Yes, I have an invitation for that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay, because I actually do need this approved.
Let's,
And it's listed on your agenda for actually voting on today. Right? Possible approval? Does it say
Yeah,
that?
look at that. You're on top of it.
Mm.
Well, then, I would look for a motion to, approve the contract.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there's 10,469 per city, so I mean, is that, where's that all coming from?
So each city is putting in, so it's 20,000 all total.
Yeah.
Of which, about 16 comes from the cities in equal parts, and 2,000 from the county, commission, and, we have some other in-kind monies from other grants. None of it comes from your budget directly. The 2,000 we get comes from your budget originally.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be on the hook for the rest of it.
Nope, you're not on the hook for any of it.
Okay,
I look for a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Any more discussion? Let me sign this one.
Yeah, well, no, because that one's stapled together. Sign this one for me, but then I can scan it.
All
while
those in
you-
favor say aye.
I'm gonna get this
Aye.
one.
Sean,
Yeah.
wouldn't this be a possible conflict of interest for you to vote on?
Yeah, I guess. There's a building owner.
Yes. As a downtown business.
Oh,
I could abstain. That'd be fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'll abstain.
all right, the second thing is that on, I'm going to invite you all, because you're here, and you might come. The Historic are you two together? No, okay. The Historic Preservation Commission is doing a recognition of Mellinger Memorial Library being added to the National Register. It happens to be during our July 4th activities, but on Saturday, July 5th, because it's a weekend. And I have an invitation for all of you. And Mr. Sean Main is going to be our Master of Ceremonies as the county supervisor on the Historic Preservation Commission. So I won't go into the history of Mellinger Memorial Library. You'll learn a little bit about it at the ceremony, and I hope that some of you can make it. It'll be relatively short, and as far as morning sun activities go, there's nothing that conflicts with it that day, so I expect you all to come.
I read the history, they sent it to me, and it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. Here, if you want to just.
Thank you.
Any questions about that? Or anything else? I'm gonna take that signed copy. And then I'm gonna scan it to you.
Scan it to me.
Yeah, or do you want to make, I mean, I'll
I'll
make
make the
a
copy right now.
because actually I have to scan it now to the state, to the consultant. Take that. And get their. Take the.
Yeah. I've got it.
All right, thanks.
They're going slow, we can take.
I know.
Okay. Item number 9, is our ISAC HIPAA program. Company that we do our health insurance through. If we participate in the program, we have to pay the fee of $17.50, is that correct?
Correct, that's for renewing
Yeah,
entity.
our insurance company, so. You guys have time to look that over. We do this every year, so it's an anything new. I would look for a motion to approve the participation of the HIPAA program through ISAC for fiscal year 2026.
Also,
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye. I'm assuming this is my signature, right?
Correct.
It's on the list. They're back there in the corner. Okay. Not emailing your girlfriend.
So we have a couple people who are gonna come to the meeting who won't be here until 9.
Yeah.
So, I can talk about general roads and if you like to.
Roads, yeah, that'd be great.
General, road work, we are out ditching, up west of Let's, so over by Lyman, finishing up some projects that we started last year before we ran out of time and weather. We're getting our track loader this week. Sounds like that's the plan anyway, so getting that and get some other equipment in the rest of the month. Probably gonna start on the excavation on our salt shed next week or so, make some progress there. Talked with DOT on getting the K Road Bridge done, or the permitting and planning done, so working on that. Was approached by the regional planning about looping that Wapello work on Franklin Street into our paving project for X99. So need to get in touch with them and get that figured out.
Franklin Street's really starting to fall apart down.
Yep.
End.
So, and in terms of scope, I'd rather go in and try to do it right and replace a bunch of curbing gutter and all that and get it level.
Yeah, the crown is kind of leaned off
Yeah.
to one side.
So I'll work with the city on that and make sure we got a scope of work that everybody agrees upon. And then come back for a 2080 agreement or a memorandum of understanding on that thing, so that's going on. Late yesterday, I got an email from the DOT. They're proposing a transfer of jurisdiction of about 1.5 miles of what's gonna be old 61 coming into the county from Newport south. So, once the new road is built up and running, they will transfer that old 61 to us. So, about 1.4 miles, I believe.
Couple of $1 million too, right?
Well, their proposal, value is an 800 and some thousand bucks, so.
What was the last estimate to pave a mile of road?
Yeah. This would probably be an asphalt one, so it'd be 400,000 a mile or something like that, so.
Which now would just be basically driveways for those property owners that down to through the gully.
Yeah.
There.
So most of 61 is gonna remain, well, most of it's gonna go to Des Moines
County, yeah.
County in there, so ours is. It's not anything that we haven't expected, so. But I'm gonna review it and talk to some of our neighbors about it, and we'll present to the board next week, so.
Would that be from about Dave Eater's place up before they cut it off?
Do you know where, I think, is it Beards that live there? Well, yeah, Heater's place, yep,
Yeah.
yep, they're north up to Newport, and then we got another quarter mile so north of that, so. So, it is, what was expected, I guess, so.
Your new track loader, do you have an old track loader that's getting turned in?
No, we have not had a skid steer, so this is our first one, but we've got 3 or 4 trucks to get rid of as well. We have a backhoe that we're probably gonna get rid of next year, so we're gonna go up a bit and then down, so.
So you're gonna move the salt pile so that the building can be built, right?
Yep.
Temporarily.
Yeah, we've also got a whole bunch of tires. So people like to throw tires in the road ditches, so we grab those. And then we've got our own tires, and there's probably 100 of them or so. And talked to some of our neighbors, and the ability to get rid of those tires has changed a lot too. Talked to Washington County, that they talked to the DNR, and they said there's really no operations in Iowa that use tires anymore. So we have talked to an outfit out of Chicago who will make a run over here, let's pay, $400 a tire, or $400 a ton to get rid of the tires. Yeah. I was like, is it right?
There was a father and son that were picking up tires at our shop in a box truck, and they were coming by once a month.
Okay.
It was $3 a tire, it might be 4 now.
I don't know, I think, Homes out there pays $5 a tire if somebody to come get it.
Yeah, but a lot of these are big
Big
truck tires and tractor tires and all that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nobody wants to touch those anymore, so. So, that truck is coming over tomorrow to get them, and we'll just load them up and get rid of them. And once that's done, that area for our, it'll be good to go here, so we'll be ready to get excavation and things like that going on there, so. Anyway, we got things happening, so.
If the state would do a refund like the bottle deposit on tires, there wouldn't be any tires in the road ditches anymore.
True, but now you can only take your cans to one place, so, you know what I'm saying?
Now they want to offer them 1 cent per can to handling fee.
I had some guys say, well, why don't we just go throw them in the DOT, road ditch. I said no to that too, so.
Speaking of tires, my neighbor there looked like he moved the tires from the field into a lean-to. So I guess they're somewhat organized.
Trying to keep water out of them from growing mosquitoes and stuff that's a hazard.
There's other issues in that property though.
I heard it was for sale, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know that that would be sold, each over, but you may. I don't know about
Yeah.
While you're here, Adam, we can just go ahead and take care of number 12. You have an application for construction on the right of way.
Was not in my, no, we'll have to do it next week. Okay. So sorry, on the best one.
Okay, well, I think Adam's here and most of the parties are here, so we'll go ahead and do item number 11.
Sean,
Yeah.
number 12, and motion to table.
Make a motion to table number 12 next week.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're on to item number 11 now.
This is the green here is the Ashland subdivision, it's platted in 1968. Prior to that, the properties here, was owned by Mears, and this was owned by her. Both of those properties existed. And then a subdivision grew up around it. And this alley was included on the plat. It wasn't really spelled out as an alley or a road or anything like that. Beacon shows it as right of way, which is not correct, but so the issue is we have an alleyway that was shown as public and it isn't. Okay, but I chatted with persons about it and it is what, public access, right? But not a,
Well, I mean, it appears that it's public to me. We have lots of alleys in towns and in the county that, are public what I consider right of way, but they're not added to the right of way list. That the secondary roads has, they don't maintain them. Same thing with a lot of the cities, they don't maintain every grass alley, but it's still flagged as an alley, and so it's still technically an alley.
so it's not under it's not under the secondary roads jurisdiction, so I can't abandon it, right? But the county, because it is a public access, you can add, what was her, a quick claim.
Well, they need to vacate it first, and then they can dispose of it by a quick claim deed.
Okay. So my recommendation, and we probably talked about this, and I've shown all the parties this. Would be to just just take the alley and split it up amongst the neighbors equally. Okay, where you got one? You got one. Everybody's got one. Where are we going? Okay. So my recommendation would be to just make this easy and split the alley, which is 24 foot wide, down the middle and give to the adjacent property owners, if after the fact, if they would like to work out a deal or something that's not really our concern, so. That's my recommendation. Okay, any comments from the adjacent landowners or?
Quick claim deed with no money exchange, is that
No.
what you're saying?
It was never right of way, right? So if, a couple years ago, we abandoned some right of way up in Gladwin. At one point, that was public property, right? So, read it here. This has never been ours, so.
Well, I think so. There's a difference between legal to the counties and uses the right of way. So and the county could, sell the land if they wanted to for monetary consideration, but that's up to the board.
So it's up, I think Adam's laid out a good plan. There are all kinds of factors. The board can dispose of the property in the way outlined, or it can dispose of it really any way it sees fit. As far as who it sells it to, the method for selling it.
Just wanna make sure we're not setting a precedence. The only thing that I would make sure that we're not doing, that down the road, when we do get rid of a alley or a road and we charge somebody, they can come back and say, well, you didn't charge these people. Why didn't you do that? And I just, so
Yeah.
we're all on the same page.
I think the standard here is different because this was never used as public right of way. Not a road. A road in my term anyway,
As
so.
long as we're all on the same
Do you
page.
agree with that?
Well, so we sold a lot of Hoover Nature Trail that was never used as public, for public use as a right of way for walking trail or bike trail. So I mean, each piece of land to some extent is gonna have its own factors. But I wouldn't want to use that as the only one because we certainly have sold land that we weren't actively using before.
Which is different than what I'm talking about really. If it's if a platted road is not used, and then we abandon it. That typically gets sold, which this is different. This is secondary roads land, is what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's never been maintained by Secretary Road.
Okay. I talked to all the landowners. I think everybody is in agreement that this is the fairest and easiest way to get rid of this. So I guess,
So you can be throwing anything, so.
yeah, I don't know.
Scott, do you have something you wanted to say?
Well, my understanding was it really wasn't ever owned by the county. Is that correct or not?
So. That's a complicated question, but the easy answer to me is yes, it was.
Oh,
There are lots of factors on whether, and who does own it if it's not owned. It's clearly not owned by the lot owners. I mean, I think that's clear. So it's either owned by the county or it's owned by the original subdivider. And the law disfavors that. You're not supposed to keep pieces of land that you can't do anything with as a subdivider. So.
I think back in 1968, if it would have been a little more thought about this, it would have been done a little bit done differently than it was done, but
Sure, yeah, like the alley is the only access to several of the back lots and it's not wide enough to be a road, so it's not really legal access. So it's strange how it was laid out in the first place.
Well, my agenda says discussion only. It doesn't say anything about action, so I guess what we need to do is make sure that everybody is all on the same page. If there's any objections to this, we need to know, and then we can put it on the next agenda and move forward. I got the floor open if anybody wants to say anything. No? What's the board think? Let's move forward and give it to landowners as it's written at no cost.
As long as that's not.
I'm okay with it. I'm just asking what you guys thought.
yeah, I mean, if everybody's in agreement, I think that would be the easiest.
Well, they're
thing.
getting land for no cost. I wouldn't know why they'd argue about it, so. Yeah, okay, so let's get on the next agenda for action. I'm sure there's some legal stuff that we'll have to fill out. You're gonna take care of that for us?
Yes, so once you make the decision officially next week, then we can start the process of vacation. And then once we complete that, we can start the process of
Okay,
transfer.
do we need to have a legal description for these to,
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a pretty basic tabletop legal description, right? But I don't think we need to have a survey or anything like that.
And we'll go ahead and get on the next agenda and we'll.
So will there be one meeting to vacate and then there'll be another meeting to approve the deed?
Yes, or multiple meetings to sell the land. And there have to be a public hearing as well.
Okay.
You may have any comment? No, we'll move along. Okay. Next item on our agenda is adjournment.
Make the motion to adjourn. I'll second it.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I could have her, maybe we have her.
Okay. I don't see an issue with that.